Awesome. We can get kicked off and let folks trickle in little by little as well over the next couple minutes. But good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm Gordon. I'm the CEO over here at ReSpark. I'm here with Drake Hugo, our president as well. And today is about the equipment and facility side of the business. Everyone, I'd imagine literally every single person on this call has some sort of equipment, right? Shear, baler, material handler, fleet of trucks, where at the end of the day, a day of downtime is a really real number. And most of you guys are managing that work on a whiteboard in a spreadsheet, in somebody's head, or in a platform that's disconnected from your kind of core operations platform, unless you are a ReSpark PM company. So we recently partnered with and acquired a company that more or less solves that. And today I wanted to show it to you. So we're going to run about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour today. I'll cover where this product came from, what it does, and then, who's already using it within the kind of ReSpark ecosystem. And then I'll let Drake take you through the platform live for about 20 or 25 minutes or so. After the demo, I'll come back and cover what's next on the roadmap and how this folds into the platform you already run. Two quick notes. There's both a chat element of today's Zoom webinar in addition to a Q&A. You'll find both on the bottom kind of toolbar at Zoom. So feel free to use those and we'll leave ample time for Q&A right at the end. Sweet. So again, quick agenda. First one is why we acquired UptimePM, now called ReSparkPM, and the 7 years history behind the product. We'll then cover what ReSparkPM does today to level set on what's handled within maintenance and facility management. We'll then dive into a live demo, and then as I mentioned before, we'll cover what's next on the roadmap and how the two platforms over the next couple quarters will come together. In terms of chat and Q&A, it's always helpful for us to understand where people kind of currently are in their preventative maintenance journey. So whether you're brand new, whether you have an existing system, or whether you already have ReSpark PM, I would love to better understand that to help guide the overall motion. So feel free to add that in the chat below as we go through. Cool. So let's start with how we got here, because I think the timeline will tell you more about the overall partnership than the partnership terms do right from the jump. So let's start with uptime before we get into the transaction that we went through. So this product, Uptime PM, which is now ReSpark PM, wasn't built in some sort of software office or anywhere far away from the actual yard. Justin Trenadu, the former CEO and founder of the business, spent years running yards down in Florida, and he lived the same problem that a lot of our customers today have. He was dealing with reactive maintenance, missed services, and nobody being accountable for the machine that went down, with no real record of what anything actually costs to keep running. He built the software to fix his own operation, and it worked well enough inside his own yards that other operators more or less started asking if they could use it. And call it 7 years ago, that more or less turned into an overall company. So the product you're going to see today is obviously new to the ReSpark portfolio, but it's been around for a while. It's been built hand in hand with this industry the entire time, and it supports hundreds of facilities across North America. CEO, still a very good friend of the business, still runs his own yards on this, and just want to make sure that we kind of level set what Uptime now ReSpark PM is prior to diving into their different feature sets. So in terms of ReSpark's journey with this overall product, we'll talk about integration. We'll talk about what's on the come, but wanted to level set a little bit around why we did this and our past with the ReSpark PM product. So back in 2024, the GreenSpark entity actually partnered with Justin and Uptime PM to invest in a number of different places in the business, whether that was the go-to-market motion, whether it was research and the development. That gave us a lot of visibility into the product team, the business, and we were allowed to partner and help with Justin to grow that overall business over the last two and a half years. In that time, we obviously saw great a great reception from our kind of existing customer base with that overall product, and ultimately closed on the full acquisition earlier last month, with most of the team staying through on the transition as well. The reason I'm telling you this is that the integration moved overall very, very fast. At the end of the day, 2 years of shared history meant that we didn't need to start at zero when understanding the product of the team or how it fit into our kind of core yard operations product. We got a head start over the last 2 years and have continued to align the operating model around how we operate here at ReSpark, to make sure that this integration and the transition is as seamless as possible overall. So that's a little bit about the kind of overall background of the business and of the relationship between Uptime and the ReSpark team pre-acquisition. Let's now dive into what the product actually does. So there are going to be a number of different core pieces of the product that we will dive into throughout the overall demo to kind of set the stage. I'd say the core of the product overall boils down within four overall modules and workflows. Number one is assets. So every machine in the yard gets a record, whether it's again balers or shields or shears, material handlers, loaders, trucks, etc. Everything related to that asset, like meter value, service history, documents, warranties, and overall cost, hang off of that record, which means that you can answer what that machine has actually cost you, either in time or in dollars, over its life instead of guessing directly within ReSpark PM. Second piece is going to be work orders, right? This is the object everything else runs through. Issues get aggregated in one assigned job, scheduled and worked, with parts, labor, and cost captured against it. Your manager can see a either Kanban view or a list view on the web. And from a mobile application perspective, which is where most of the work actually gets done, your mechanic gets a view on his phone with photos, notes, and time entry for each of these work orders. Pretty similar on the service and inspection side. So on the service and services and inspections, you'll see different milestones based on calendar, hours, or miles, tracked on a per asset basis with inspection checklists that you can build yourself. And when an inspection item fails, it becomes a work order directly from that pre or post shift inspection. So this is more or less the piece that kind of ties the two together, and obviously keeps a small problem from becoming a I don't know, a shear that's down for a week or something that has an extended amount of downtime that really halts the overall operation. Last piece here, safety and compliance. So this really means that facility, asset, and employees safety is all in one place, which includes things like observations, assessment, lockout, tagout procedures, training records, and certifications with expiration dates, to make sure that nothing in the broader facility, not just on the equipment, lapses quietly without you knowing. So that's, again, a little bit of a table setter on what the kind of core product offering is. The product extends well past that, though. Really developed over the last 12 to 18 to 24 months, is what the kind of ReSpark PM full suite looks like. And we'll tick through kind of four more items that I know Drake will highlight in the demo as well. The first is going to be a parts inventory. So this includes things like FIFO valuations, minimum and maximum levels that you can set, low stock alerts and audit trails across all of your different locations. Parts obviously come off the shelf when they get used on a job and they get consumed directly within ReSpark PM. So your on-hand count can reflect what actually happened in the shop rather than what somebody remembered to write down, if you're managing this offline. Second piece is going to be consumables and fluids. This will include things like tank management, consumption logging, fluid tracking, SDS documentation. Consumables sit right next to parts and labor as a cost line on the work order item, just to give you a sense of how these objects interact with each other. So the cost of running a machine includes what it actually consumes, not just what breaks on it. The third piece, which had a great reception when it got released about 6 to 8 months ago, is purchase orders and spend. So instead of this just being a maintenance tool, this can really be a kind of overall non-trade spend management tool. This includes role-based progressive approvals, GL coding, receipt from a PO straight into inventory, which means that again, all that kind of non-trade purchasing that either lives in email or spreadsheets or even a third-party GL that's disconnected from your actual equipment gets a system of record, which means you can see spend by asset, by facility, and by overall vendor, which is a good segue into this last one, right? On vendors and reporting. This includes a vendor Rolodex with external work order management for anything that you send out, plus different pivot reporting and executive dashboards that roll cost and downtime up to either the location level or the overall organization level. So, um, again, wanted to give you a good sense of what the surface area and the scope of this product covers before we dive into the overall demo. And again, what we tried to do is really close the loop on all facility management and equipment maintenance work streams, from inspection to work order to parts to purchase order to cost, which really allows you to manage this entire process all in one system. So that's the overall shape of the product and why we're so excited to add it to our overall product suite. And at this time, I will flip it over to Drake, who's going to take you through the actual product.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Gordon. Yeah, for those of you who are just joining, my name is Drake Hugo. I'm president of ReSpark, and we're really excited to walk you through the ReSparkPM application. Just for a bit of context on what we're going to be showing you today, there's really two pieces to the product. There's the web app, which basically means you access it through a browser, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, and you just need an internet connection, and you're good to go. Very similar to the ReSpark core platform. And then we have a mobile app that's available on iPhone and Android. And as Gordon mentioned, that's where the bulk of the work is done by the folks running the machinery, your maintenance team, so on and so forth. So to set the table, let's go ahead and walk through the website first. So let me share my screen. Perfect. So what you're looking at is the ReSparkPM platform, very similar to the ReSpark core product. Over on the left-hand side, you have all the different options, pages, and features. We're going to go ahead and build this from the bottom up, starting with what it looks like to set up various facilities and regions. So similar to ReSpark, you're going to go ahead and drop in all of your different facilities where you can then assign individual users and pieces of equipment. We know things like trucks can oftentimes flow across different yards. At the end of the day, this is whatever the home base is for that specific piece of equipment. For those of you who have multiple locations and are across various regions, you can assign facilities to regions. This allows you to roll up and view your costs, open work orders, equipment, inventory, you name it, across all your different sites and locations. Next little piece of configuration that I want to deep dive into is user setup. So we really intend for the ReSparkPM platform to be for any user on your yard who's touching a machine, your maintenance team, and even third-party maintenance techs who regularly service your machines. You can assign different users to their appropriate regions and facilities. And perhaps the most important part, and where I want to spend some time, is on notifications. Especially for those of you who are coming from pen and paper, we've seen it play out time and time again where there's an issue with the machine, it gets radioed into the office, someone then has to relay it up to the general manager or the owner, and it's this big circular text and email chain to get services implemented. We took a very different approach where we wanted everything to be automated directly in the system. So as you can see, we have 30 or so different notification types, assets marked down, purchase orders received, safety inspections, you name it. And we currently support email and mobile push notifications with SMS text notifications on the way. These can be configured by user role type. So if you know, hey, maintenance managers, we want them to receive a notification anytime an asset's marked down, you can set it up that way and it'll flow through to all the individual users. Perfect. Let's transition now to the meat and potatoes, which is tracking assets. So when you come aboard the ReSparkPM system, and we'll talk about what it looks like to onboard at the end, we need to get all of your assets directly into the system. When we refer to assets, it's anything you care about keeping track of. So it could be an excavator, over-the-road vehicles, skid steers, material handlers, shredders, you name it. Once you drop them in here, we'll give you basically a whole list of everything that's in the system. And then if we want to deep dive into any individual assets, I can go ahead and click on it and it'll pull up the entire asset record. One of the key things to mention, and we see this all the time, is especially as your business is growing, a lot of times there isn't a great paper trail of all of the core metadata of the machine, the serial numbers, the VINs, the purchase value, things that you care about keeping track of, but oftentimes are just disparate across various systems, Excel spreadsheets, you name it. The goal is to be able to log all that information so you have a centralized database of everything that lives within the program. One of the key things that I want to call out, because when I show the mobile app, this is going to be relevant, is the concept of these QR codes. We know, at any site you could have, upwards of 50 pieces of machinery. We wanted to make it really easy for your operators and machines to quickly pull up the inspection reports that they need. So any piece of machinery, you can generate a unique QR code, fix it to the side of the machine. And instead of having to search through a long list by, serial or VIN number, your operators can just scan it and it'll pull up the appropriate inspection report, which I'll show you in just a second here. In addition to the core setup, we wanted to make it easy to view all the past service history of an individual machine. Where this also comes in value beyond just the day-to-day PM workflow is in the event you're ever selling a machine, you now have, think of it as like a Carfax history of that machine throughout the years that you've had it. I can view worker orders, purchase orders, which we'll get into. And then the final thing I wanted to mention related to just the setup of individual assets is this concept of attachments. One thing that we've heard time and time again from recyclers we work with is it's very difficult to keep track of renewal dates for COIs, licenses, registrations. And again, we want to automate that process because it's not something that someone should have to remember in their head. So down below here, where it says permits and other documents, I can actually upload different documentation to the system. So let's say I have a COI and I know it's going to expire sometime next year. I can go ahead and drop in whatever the expiration date is, select my reminder frequency. This one's monthly, so usually it means a couple months before the expiration date, it'll start sending me push notifications, save it, and now it's logged within the system. So again, with the ReSpark core product, and especially with ReSpark PM, we want to get stuff out of people's heads into a system that's automated and sends push notifications through to the users. So once we have a machine set up, like this Atlas here, then we can go through and set up inspection templates that will guide our operators on the yard to actually carry out individual services. We have two concepts of services. We have inspections, which think of those as your like day-to-day pre-shift, post-shift inspections, and then work orders, which are oftentimes timed based on run hours of the machine or date-driven for just preventative maintenance overall. So if I, as an example, look into this material handler inspection, the way that we set this up is very similar to like a Google Forms or Airtable Forms setup, where you can build your own inspection based on your own personal requirements or what the OEM and equipment company recommends. So I can indicate up top whether this is a pre-shift or post-shift indicator, number of days to alert, and then I can actually build out the inspection template itself. So in this scenario, I essentially have three different service groups that I want to carry out: exterior checks, attachment checks, and engine checks. And within each of these broader categories, I can add as many sub-items as I want. Each sub-item has the ability to customize the name. You can indicate whether there's a photo required or a photo isn't required, and then the severity of the item that's being added. There's some implications of these severity items on notifications where, if someone reports a cosmetic damage to a machine, as an example, you might not want that going up the food chain to whoever's in charge to be repaired. It's still logged, but it's not going to blast all the notifications out as much as a critical or safety hazard would. So again, the ReSpark PM team will help you during the onboarding process configure these templates. One of the common questions we get with these templates is, hey, I have operators who speak Spanish. Can you translate these into Spanish? The mobile app itself can be in Spanish. Oftentimes what we'll see yards do is they'll have two different inspection templates, one in English, one in Spanish, just so that their operators feel comfortable out in the yard. Once you feel good with setting up the service, I can then go ahead and assign it directly to an individual machine or machines, and it's available for me to complete there. Great. Now that we have the service itself set up, we're going to go ahead and transition over to the mobile app. So let me share my screen here. All right. Can you see the okay? Great. So welcome to the ReSpark PM mobile app. As mentioned, this is available on both iPhone and Android. Before we dive into it, just a couple quick housekeeping items settings wise. I mentioned it previously. We support a variety of different languages that you can customize. So right now it's in English. And then we also do have an offline mode. This is something that is a big concern for a lot of yards. We know that way deep in your warehouse where your baler may live, there's not, a Wi-Fi hotspot out there, service is spotty. You can put offline mode so that it doesn't prevent your operators from doing the work that they need out there. So let's jump back to the main screen. We designed this app to be as simple as possible for the operators. We know their job is to operate the machinery, not be software experts. So as such, we have these quick actions up top, which we'll get to in a second, which is scan the QR code or search assets. Down below, we have this operations tab, which is really geared towards your maintenance team, your general managers, where you can view open work orders and track time. You can view POs that are going on, safety inspections, which gets the safety component of the application, managing and tracking consumables, think, fuel, fluids, things like that, assets that are down, and then just a high level KPI dashboard. So let's jump into the actual inspection piece of the application. I mentioned before, you could have a ton of equipment on the yard. So instead of, hunting and pecking for these individual machines on the yard, I can actually go ahead and hit scan code. And it's going to, as soon as I scan the QR code, immediately pull up the machine that I want to service. So this is the same atlas that we were walking through on the website. When I jump in, again, it gives me high level info, when the last maintenance was, last runtime hours. And you'll notice directly in the middle is this put asset down button. We hope that your team isn't using these too frequently, but we wanted to make it really easy for the operator to log the mistake or issue with the machinery that's preventing it from being operational. As you can see, as soon as we log this, it's going to send out notifications to everyone, hopefully allowing you to action whatever errors there are on the machine quickly. Really where the bulk of the work, though, is being done is through this inspections page here. So when I click into it, it's going to give me all my different options for pre-shift, post-shift, during shift inspection reports that we want to carry out. So in this example here, I'm going to go ahead and click in to this report. I can see from the template that we showed earlier on web, all the different reports that we're going to have to carry out. And we try to, again, keep it really simple. Is this requirement met? Is it good or bad? So I'm going to click through, say it's good. It's going to kick me into the next queue of items. And again, I'm just going to keep clicking through for this example. You'll notice here, this requirement requires me to take a photo. So it doesn't immediately turn to a green checkbox. I have to add a photo, attach it, and then it will allow me to proceed. We can complete with the interior checks. Again, we'll add another photo. Once all the requirements have been met, it's going to kick the user into this final inspection form, which is essentially to log the meter reading. Again, this is fully customizable, so if a meter isn't relevant to the machine, you can turn that off. So let's say it's 5380. And then you'll have the ability to take a photo of the meter itself. I can then submit the inspection, and it will be logged in the system. Perfect. Now, in the event that there is something wrong with the machine that isn't catastrophic, maybe it's a preventative maintenance that we want to carry out. Your operators have the ability to log work orders that'll automatically be directed to your maintenance team. And then you as an owner, maintenance manager, whoever's directly responsible for that can distribute them to the appropriate people. So right beneath inspections, there's this option for work orders. If I click into it, obviously I can view all my different work orders that exist and the various statuses of them. But generally speaking, the folks who are completing the inspection reports themselves are going to be the ones creating the work orders. So if I click in a work order, it's going to give me two options right off the bat, whether we're doing reactive maintenance or preventative maintenance. I can add a short summary of the issue, and then I can indicate what the work order items are that need service. As part of the service inspection template setup, we also recommend setting up various work order items that you might regularly service for that individual machine. In the event that this person is actually going to be responsible for fixing it, they can enter their information, or you can search for the user. So in this case, we're going to assign it to Tristan. I can create the work order, and it's going to directly assign it to her to carry out the service. Once the work order is created, and we'll show you what it looks like on the website here in a minute, it's going to exist within the mobile app, giving all the core details of what happened to it. And if I scroll down a little bit, you'll notice the start work order timer. The reason why we built this into the product is because we wanted, anytime there's downtime for a machine, track how long it's down and how long it takes the maintenance person to actually repair what's going on in the machine. So if I go ahead and hit start work order timer, it's going to go ahead and keep track of how long it takes me to complete the service in aggregate. If I have multiple work items that are relevant to this machine, I can start items for those various subcategories as well. Gordon, I saw you came off mute. Anything you want to add on this piece?
No, it's all good. This is probably one of our most used features on the mobile app. So I just wanted to clarify this point of emphasis.
Awesome. Cool. So as we're keeping track of the work order items that exist in here, one of the things, and again, I'll show you on the website in a second what it looks like, is we want to keep track of our inventory parts. So as an example, if on this Atlas machine, we're going to do the swapping out an air filter, we want to keep track of that. One, because we care about what new equipment made its way into the machine, and two, we want to update our inventory along with it. So your maintenance manager, they can go ahead and hit add part, and they can actually search from your existing parts inventory. So let's say I'm going to include the air filter here, and we're going to be swapping out two of them. Hit save. This is now logged as a part of this work order service. For those who are on more of the finance side of the operation, one of the benefits that we get out of this is we want to back into how much it costs to run your machine on a day-to-day business. And part of the reason why the UptimePM, now ReSparkPM acquisition was so exciting to us is within the core ReSpark product, we obviously keep track of your cost of inventory, which is a blend of what you're buying the material for, your freight, your processing costs, and overhead. The one missing piece to truly back into a weighted average cost of your inventory is knowing exactly how much it costs to run those machines. Labor, electrical, parts, maintenance, you name it. By logging this information, we now have a complete data set that shows you, hey, we know this material handler fully baked with maintenance costs this, blended with your material costs, allows us to back into a true weighted average cost and give you accurate margin tracking. So just tying it together for why we wanted to do this in the first place. A couple final things to add. You can also track and add consumables. So consumables are things, think like oil, fluids, gloves, things that would be relevant to the specific machine itself that are distinctly different than inventory parts. And again, you can configure your units of measurement, whether that's gallons or something else other than each unit. Once I'm done with this work order, I can hit stop work order timer. It's going to give me a few different options to log whatever the work completed was. So we'll do completed air filter swap. And in this scenario, I can only put this in a waiting period, which will essentially force an admin to review the work order, make sure it looks good, and then finally approve it. Great. So let's go ahead and flip back to the website now. Where we can view a few of these things a little bit more in depth here. All right, so as Gordon mentioned, work orders, one of the most important pieces of the application itself. The way that it flows in, we wanted to make it extremely easy for you and your operators out on the yard to view what's going on and assign it as such. We have a couple distinct categories of these work orders, which are unassigned, and work orders can make their way into unassigned either through the operator creating them, like I showed you just a few minutes ago, or through our scheduled services. So it'll say, hey, it's the start of the quarter. This is our planned maintenance. We need to drop it in here. Not started has to do with when we're actually scheduling it out. And then in progress work orders are ones that are ready to go. So just to show you here, if I have an unassigned work order, it's going to show me all the core details about it. I want to open it up. And then I can actually give it an assigned to date, which is going to notify whatever user is directly responsible for that work order. So again, if I assign Tristan and she's going to be responsible for carrying out the service on this assigned date of 8/29, she'll receive a push notification that it has been assigned. Few different views to view work orders. Again, we know that people have different preferences for how they view it. We obviously have this Kanban board. You can drill in per yard as well. So if you have one work order stream at this yard and another, you can view it in one spot. We have a table view, which can also be exported out directly into an Excel file for you to view. And then perhaps the most popular one, because we know right now this resides on a whiteboard, Microsoft Outlook, Google Calendar, is our services calendar here. So as you can see over here, this is the service that I assigned for the 29th. And again, it just gives you a brief overview of what's planned and preventative, what's reactive, in an easy to view format. Great. Charging ahead here, one of the other really important components of the ReSpark platform is being able to track inventory. We know inventory is critical, and especially for those of you who run shredders, we know you probably have a warehouse of hammers, spare parts that are waiting because downtime is bad for the business. We allow you to add and update different inventory parts so that you have an accurate idea of your stock and inventory on hand at any time. So just as an example here, let's say we have AC filters. It'll give me a real-time quantity that I currently have sitting in the warehouse. At any point, I can go ahead and then log how many more I'm adding. So maybe we buy 10 air filters, there's 35 bucks a pop. I can log the purchase date, upload any receipts, files, documentation we need, and then assign what facility we want that inventory to flow through at. So once again, and this cuts more to the core ReSpark system in general, we want all this data, if you wanted to be able to flow into QuickBooks. You know exactly how much you've spent on spare parts and inventory on hand. And then as you carry out services, it will deduct the amount of quantity that you have of a particular inventory part. In addition to adding in inventory, and I didn't do it in this example here, but we also have the ability to log different vendors who you might be working with. One of the visions of this platform is, in addition to the parts, we wanted to make it very simple for you to track like what your spend and business relationship looks like with individual OEMs who are responsible for servicing that machine or providing spare parts and equipment. If I jump into Alta, just as an example here, again, it's a very similar setup. Very light CRM for logging contact details. I can assign various facilities, regions, and then the assets that we're purchasing from. So again, from a reporting standpoint, we can give you a breakdown on all the inventory parts that you've purchased from an individual consumer. While we're on the same inventory parts thread, consumables is one of those areas in the product that we're actually in the midst of a pretty big overhaul on, but similar concept where we want to know, hey, how many gallons of diesel do we have on site, antifreeze, products that we're going to need primarily for trucking or hydraulics for our shredder. Again, giving you an average cost, total value, quantity on hand. You do have the ability as well to set different notification alerts. So again, garbage in, garbage out. If your operators are doing a good job of logging the consumables and parts that they're utilizing, we can give you good notifications on when you need to reorder various consumables or parts within the system. Perfect. Before I cut over to purchase orders and stuff, Gordon, is there anything else we want to add on consumables, inventory parts, work orders?
No, this is perfect. We'll talk through some plan enhancements for the rest of the year on both of these in a few minutes. So feel free to keep moving.
Okay, perfect. So one of the modules, so what we just walked through is what we call, part of the ReSpark core product. And really the full suite extends into the concept of purchase orders. So one of the things that we heard over and over again, and all credit to Justin on building this out, is a lot of times maintenance managers, again, they're chasing their bosses, they're chasing their owners for approval to buy certain parts. And again, that lag time could lead to downtime, which is something that we want to avoid. So we built in a progressive PO approval system. The way that this works is I can just log purchase orders like I would in QuickBooks, like I would in ReSpark core product, whatever it may be. Entering PO descriptions, what dealer I'm purchasing from, the asset that I'm servicing, include any attachments, line items, and then it'll back into just creating the full purchase order. So pretty basic functionality on this part. The next thing you can do is set various approval levels based on the cost of the purchase order. So in this example here, we essentially have 6 layers of approvals, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, and then a super approver, which ends up being whoever like the admin is on a specific account. So the way that it works here is for like a level 1 approval, the way it's set up right now, anything over $1,000, I would just be able to purchase. Anything at 2,500, I could configure it such that it needed to go to an individual approver. Once you set up the actual PO approval levels, then you can choose what users have access. So again, you set up the roles, you assign the users, pretty simple, and then it'll notify the user, again, through email or push notification to approve the PO that was entered into the system. The final thing is once a PO has been approved, you can actually go ahead and receive product against the open order. So again, in this scenario, Justin was the one who requested it. The order got approved. Someone in admin can pop in here. Looks like we're buying some gatherer plates. We ordered one. We're going to receive one here. The receive date, I can upload any documentation, receive products, and then it's going to go ahead and update our inventory parts. So you can see as you enter more data in here, everything's tracked, and we have a really clear understanding of what our costs look like directly within the system. Perfect. Now, shifting gears slightly away from equipment, ordering parts, all of that. One of the things that we also heard, which fits into this, PM and maintenance land, is also having a safety software as well. We know that oftentimes for your trucks is mandated by DOT, your local fire department, environmental agencies like CalRecycle. You're responsible for providing permits and inspection records for various activities around your yard. We felt like ReSparkPM was a great home for that, and as such, we've continued to build it out. So as an example, we have a sample DOT inspection within here. Similar to our equipment maintenance, I can set up different inspection reports and facility schedule walkthroughs. So as an example, if this is something that we need to do every 3 months, I can set whatever the frequency is, the facility that I want it to be at, and then it's going to notify the appropriate user what they actually need to do. Again, very similar to the way that we set up the inspections. I can set up the service group names and then add in various details and service items that we need to perform. So we'll need to do a fire extinguisher check. Is required, yes or no. And then again, we can log if any consumables need to be updated. So as an example, if you have an eye wash station and you're required to have a certain number of consumables in that area, you could require it. That way we ensure that it's restocked and good to go. We took the similar principle with the equipment inspections where you can put a QR code for the DOT inspection at that part of the site that it's directly responsible, and then you can carry out that activity directly in the mobile app. Once you set up the core templates, the inspections themselves, Gordon mentioned at the top of the call, like lockout, tag out procedures, I can click into it and I can view all the different safety items and results that were reported on. One thing to show you here, and it wasn't, it's an area that we're currently developing on the safety inspections. We know a lot of times you might want to distribute out a copy of the issue. Maybe it's with your equipment tech at the OEM or a manager. We do have the ability to save all the inspection reports as PDFs in here. So you can print or email these out as well. So this is the inspection report that we went through together earlier on the call. It'll show us our completion, who performed it, all the metadata, and then it'll also have all the photos in here. So hopefully one of the key things that you get from ReSpark PM is we want to make it extremely easy to access photos and to share data with the relevant parties. As we have about 20 minutes left, I want to wrap in the final couple minutes on the product, talking about reports and dashboards. Obviously, management cares a ton about reports, and we essentially have two different vectors for accessing that information. The first, and for those of you who are current ReSpark core customers, this is going to look very similar to you. We have a custom report builder where I can build a bunch of pre-built reports. So as an example here, this is a work order report. I have full flexibility, very similar to like a Microsoft BI or a Tableau, to customize and design the reports. So I can move around columns, hide fields that I do or don't care about, just so I get to the core data that I want. Any report that you want auto-emailed and sent out of the system, you can actually schedule an export. So it'll be like, hey, every day at 9 a.m., please send me a PDF of all the open work orders that we have, just making it easy to access that information. So all of the reports that you're eligible to build, we have a pretty robust module here: asset down, just general asset reports, fluid reports, inspection coverage, inventory parts, safety inspections, you name it. And then outside of reports, and to close, we have the dashboard. The dashboard is actually in the midst of a pretty big overhaul in terms of making it customizable so that you can adjust what modules or tiles you care about. Similar to the ReSpark core product, we want to make it really easy to flip between your various yards and view the key details and information. So again, it's just some high-level overview of total cost spent, in progress and needs assignment work orders, asset stats on how are we doing with inspections, what does downtime look like, and then what I flashed up in the middle of the call, which is the services calendar, which is intended to be a direct replacement for whatever whiteboard you have in the office or Microsoft Outlook and Google Calendar. So to close, and just as a quick recap, two pieces to the ReSpark PM product. There's the website, which you're looking at right now, mobile app, which works on iPhone and Android. Pretty much anything you can do on web, you can do on mobile. Your operators are going to be responsible for doing the work orders, the inspection templates, safety walkthroughs on mobile, and then you as managers can run your reports, log inventory, and develop additional work order items in here. So hopefully this was a good preview for what's going on, and I'll turn it over to Gordon to share a little bit more about the roadmap and where we intend to take this product now that it's a part of the ReSpark company.
Awesome. Thanks again, Drake, for the walkthrough. And just as an FYI for everyone, this entire session is going to be recorded, and we'll send it out after to folks who not only are attending, but also the ones that registered as well. So we'll make sure that this gets into your hands too. So, little segue from what Drake mentioned. Let's talk about what's on the come overall. So let me know when you guys can see this. We're going to head back into really the large boulders for the roadmap for the second half of the year. This is where we're investing. We should see these updates roll out later in Q3 and in Q4. And they're really based around kind of four different buckets. Number one is going to be work orders end to end. So this is probably the biggest block of work that we have in flight right now that's getting shipped. This will include things like chat on the work order itself, contributors and collaborators, so that the right people get notified. Drake obviously showed the kind of robust notification system that we're also continuing to build out. But we want to make sure the right people get notified, with that being the assignee, richer statuses, and a completion review that effectively walks the mechanic through confirming parts, times, and meter readings before a job can close, in addition to a fully rebuilt asset downflow. Second bucket is going to be around parts, consumables, and inventory depth. This will include consumable tracking on the mobile app with full parity on the web as well, adjustments and write-offs that exist outside of a work order, cycle counts, min and max levels, and POs that populate themselves from what the system already knows. You are short. Bucket three is going to be around planning and scheduling. So today, the calendar that Drake showed effectively tells you what's coming. We're also making it a tool that you actually work in. So the kind of calendaring functionality will include an agenda by mechanic, a drag and drop that updates the underlying work order rather than just moving a box, PM forecasting across days, weeks, and months, and document and warranty expirations surfaced well before they lapse. So trying to again get kind of alerts and notifications directly into the calendaring interface. And the last piece is going to be manager visibility. This will include a rebuilt dashboard where you actually have the ability to pick the KPIs that matter for your role versus just that kind of static dashboard that Drake mentioned. This could include cycle times, preventative versus reactive maintenance, PM compliance, and asset utilization from meter readings. And further out, we're also thinking through things like shifts in schedules, in-app notifications, and AI assistance for maintenance planning and root cause analysis, similar to our AI tools and workflows throughout the ReSpark core product. A lot of this, similar to the ReSpark core product, came from customers telling us that they actually needed it. So again, that kind of same feedback loop that folks who are familiar with how ReSpark operates exists and will continue to exist over on the ReSpark PM side. Cool. Switching gears, we wanted to not only touch on what's on the come on kind of the core ReSpark PM product, but also our thoughts on a fully integrated platform now that PM is part of the overall ReSpark solution. Again, kind of four different buckets in terms of what we're building towards overall, going from I'd say near term to long term, and maybe more tactical to more strategic. Number one is just going to be a unified login. So soon you'll see a one consolidated set of credentials across both products, which allows you to get to ReSpark PM directly from the core ReSpark workspace. That means that there will be no second login, no separate second tab, no separate bookmark. We're looking to ship this over the next couple weeks to make sure that there's continuity between the two platforms and create that kind of first entry point between the two products. Second will be a unified PO view. As Drake mentioned, there are obviously purchase orders on both sides of the house, on both core and PO. And today, the POs behind parts inventory and consumables sit on the maintenance side, and your material purchasing sits on the core platform. In an effort to kind of bring trade and non-trade into a single view, we'll be collapsing those. So total spend is on one screen instead of two systems, powered by the same notifications, workflows, and approvals that we're developing out on the ReSpark core side. Number three is, again, you'll sense a theme of kind of overall unification, one unified mobile app. So this will likely be early next year, but on that time frame, we're looking to unify the mobile applications so that a single app covers yard operations and maintenance together, which means that there will be one download and one login for the people who spend more or less their entire day on the phone, which in this business is a good amount of folks. And then the kind of long term goal, right? The kind of holy grail of this integration, which Drake also touched on in the demo, is true burden cost. Right. Obviously, we have the ability to apply burden rates on the ReSpark core application with things like the actual burden rate, whether it's shrinkage or our processing scenarios. However, that falls short a little bit of understanding the true equipment cost. So long term, we're looking to integrate things like consumables and parts inventory directly into our production platform. And really what we're driving towards is accurately burdening material during processing, during using real machine spend, like utilization, work orders, parts, and consumables that are pulled straight out of ReSpark PM. So again, that's kind of the overall end goal. And to kind of play this out, today when you process a load, roughly what the material cost you bear and roughly what the labor cost is. What you don't know is the machine and what that machine costs you on that specific run, whether it's the wear, the fluids, the parts, or the share of that rebuild that you want to allocate to this production run. That's the number that we want to give you through the integration between ReSpark PM and our core unit operations platform. Cool. So pulling away from the future and looking back to now, I know as we mentioned in the poll that we sent out earlier, we understand that everyone's kind of in a different spot in their journey. Some of you guys are already existing ReSpark PM customers, and hopefully this walkthrough and the roadmap was helpful. Other folks have never had a maintenance software. Other folks are evaluating this tool. So overall, in terms of next steps, again, if you want a demo tailored to your operation or specific pricing, feel free to reach out to our sales team, or if you're already on the ReSpark core platform, feel free to reach out directly to your customer success manager. If you're already a ReSpark PM customer, the news is that there's not a ton of news, right? Nothing changes today. It's the same product, it's the same team, just a new name and a much bigger product engineering and support organization behind it to make sure that you guys can get the support and the answers that you need. So overall, again, really, really appreciate the time, guys. I'm glad that we were able to walk through what the story of kind of ReSpark and Uptime PM now ReSpark PM has been, what the product actually does and how it functions, given how much work has gone into it over the last year or two, and where, as not just the product but as a business, we are going and how we're thinking about these two products together under the ReSpark hood. Um, Again, we have a couple more minutes here, so feel free to use that Q&A section directly in the Zoom chat. And Drake and I will hang on for a couple more minutes to make sure that these questions are answered.
Yeah, and while folks are dropping in some questions in the Q&A, Daniel, saw your question. Is there a production platform that covers multiple processes? Short answer is yes. It's in the core ReSpark platform. So we literally call it production recipes. So think like, hey, I run a shredder operation. I know tin and white goods are my input, and I'm gonna, recover 60% shred, 20% Zorba fine, 10% Zorba heavies, and then I'm gonna have 10% waste or fluff. You can configure that within the ReSpark system, set it up to run manually or automatic, and then it'll flow through to your material costs. A slide ago where Gordon was talking about integrating that all in one platform, you would then be able to blend in like what your actual equipment runtime costs are and maintenance costs that will impact your material costs. Right now, you can input it as a static value, so like that's still supported in the ReSpark platform, but ideally we want it fed from the ReSpark PM data.
Great. Well, if there are no more questions, thank you everyone again for the time. Clearly, it's something that this product and being able to expand the scope and the surface area of the ReSpark kind of core product into maintenance and facility management is something that is super exciting to us. So be on the lookout for more updates from our side. And again, otherwise, if you want to get started, feel free to reach out to the team directly, and we can set you up with the demo. Thanks again for the time. And as mentioned before, the recording of this will be sent out shortly after the webinar concludes. Thanks again.
Thanks, all. Have a good day.